Yo, 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 welcome back everyone to the Anything and Everything podcast, where today we are going at Andor episodes 1 through 3. We just finished watching all 3. It's 12:15 in the morning. We're about to do this episode, and I got across from me once again, like always, the man, the dinosaur man, Big Tim. Dude, give
Jay,
it to him.
Jay, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. We just spent the last 3 hours with technical difficulties getting through 3 episodes of Andor, and I would have rather have read a book about painting.
Dude,
It was some of the worst Star Wars content I have ever seen. 2 trailers that hype this fantastic multi-season story of rebellion, and I get a watered-down version of Han Solo on a planet that I don't give a shit about, doing things I don't give a shit about. A weird love triangle that doesn't make any sense.
and by episode 3 is irrelevant.
And it's completely irrelevant.
Guys,
And we know it's...
before we go into this any deeper, spoilers for episodes 1 through 3 if you haven't watched them yet. I don't know why you're listening to this. Go watch them, come back, and listen to this podcast.
There's just... I literally could have found so many different, better ways to spend the last 3 hours of my life than watch Andor. Now, listen, I'm not saying don't watch Andor because we don't know what it's going to lead up to.
Yeah.
But if these first 3 episodes are any indication of what I'm going to be seeing going forward, I am so checked out. It's
I'm
not
shocked,
even remotely
dude.
funny.
I'm shocked. It's. Listen, I'm one of the people who, when when they first announced the show, I had faith. I'm like, okay, we'll see what they do with it, whatever. And then as the first trailer comes out, I'm like, dude, this is going to be trash. Because the first trailer sucked. I don't know if you guys remember it. The first trailer was terrible. And, sorry, that Dr. Pepper's getting me. But the first trailer sucked ass. And then the last couple of trailers we've got have been, incredible. I'm warning you right now, guys, all of the action in those trailers was all of the action of the first 3 episodes, and there was nothing more. Any action you saw in those trailers was the action in the show.
Wait, there was action in those first 3 episodes?
Apparently. It was bad.
I got more entertaining content out of the first 30 seconds of Rogue One that I'm watching right now than I did the last 3 hours of Andor.
Yeah, dude. The first note for our first episode is dreadfully boring. That should be the telltale sign that this show is not that great.
We sat there and after every episode and we were like, what do we want to talk about? And we struggled. Bad.
There is no more than, per bullet point, 3 words of anything in that first episode. There was 3 words max.
I was going to talk about the weather in the one episode, and that's how dreadful it was.
So, our notes for episode 1 are dreadfully boring, which... It's dreadfully boring. There's nothing really to touch on. It's dreadfully boring.
There's no action. I actually fell asleep twice during the first episode. I'm not going to lie.
Before I got here?
Yeah, I nodded off twice. It was bad.
So then we also have no character development, which there's not.
You literally got nothing. You got no names. You got truly no names. You got no real idea of what we're looking at. We have no idea what planet we're on. We have no idea. We have a quick idea of what time period it is because it's 5 BBY.
Yeah.
But
that's not even stated. We just know that from
exterior. It is stated. It
in
is
the very
stated
beginning?
First episode. Yeah, in the very beginning. But there's absolutely no character development, no names, no idea where I'm at, what's going on. All I get is this cool ass. I'm sorry, there was one thing. It was cool ass little red droid B.
Yeah.
He was probably the highlight of the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, dude, the character development, the only thing we got for Andor was what we already knew from Rogue One. If you've seen Rogue One, you already know what the character of Andor is. He's just, mysterious, shady character who ends up being good in the end. And, you can't really do much with a character that has no development in his own singular movie.
Like I said, he's just a watered-down Han Solo. And it's not even a good version of Han Solo. I'm talking,
it's like dollar store Han Solo.
If I had a 3-year-old try to draw, that's the Han Solo they're giving me. A stick figure.
I mean,
Nothing. No meat on the bones.
right.
Nothing. And the first 3 episodes of a series are supposed to
Be
set
the most
tone.
enthralling
Set the
episodes.
tone. Develop your characters. Set your plot. Figure out who your bad guys are, who your good guys are. Maybe a little mystery in there. All I got was that these wannabe mall cops
Pretty much.
are trying to arrest Andor because their guy's fucked up.
Right.
And I don't know.
I mean, the next bullet point is new species. Like, this is how you know a Star Wars show is boring, when the thing we're talking about is new species. Like that's a bullet point in our notes right now.
I think the thing that really allowed me to kind of even come up with that bullet point was I saw someone look like Thanos and like walking in the background in the streets.
And there
And I
is
was
some
like,
good.
okay.
There is some good creatures. Like I will say, for the first couple episodes, the new creatures, the new species are cool. I think the aesthetic is very Star Wars. I think it fits. I think the set design and the character designs are good. It's just everything that's supposed to back up those things, like character development and plot development and storylines, are non-existent.
Yeah, like I mean, you see just a lot of not like even interesting things, but like things that look like Star Wars though.
Yeah.
I mean, like I give
Really
them
sets
props,
the
like the
tone.
costumes and like the area. Again, it looks like a watered down Tatooine, like this with the building structure of this home planet they're on. That I still don't know the name of this planet.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Jay here are usually locked in to like the small details, but I can't. We had a hard time remembering the name of his home planet.
Yeah,
I had to look it up because I couldn't remember it. And they say it about 70,000 times
in between
the first three
episodes 2 and
episodes.
3, and we're like, wait. By the end of the notes, we're like, home planet. Like, I don't even remember what to type because I don't even know what it is.
It's just so
Whether it's
so
forgettable
uninteresting.
or we're just burnt out from having to watch 3 hours of that. I don't know, but
I mean, maybe it's a little bit of both. But I mean, I'm gonna lean more towards that. It's just these first 3 episodes were not good. That's really all I have.
And I said early in an episode, it was early in episode 2 we were watching, and you made a comment and you said it wasn't very good, and I said, well, maybe like they're gonna. You said it was a useless scene, and I kind of said, well, maybe maybe it's useless now, but by the end of the series, there's some good like payoffs to these scenes, and like, I guess we can still hope for that. But right now,
The one scene was literally just an old man rambling to whoever the Skarsgård's character in a taxi.
yeah,
He's
it
just
was
like he's like, oh yeah, the weather, and oh, this place kind of sucks, and watch your wallet, and I'm a propeller physician or some shit.
dude, like it
And
was
I'm
dude, it made no sense.
I'm like, what does this have to do with anything? Why is this guy just like, when like you're standing in mind your own business, you have your headphones in, and somebody walks up to you and tries to talk to you.
Yeah,
that was pretty much what we saw.
He's
in
just
Star
trying to mind
Wars.
his business, stare out the window, and this guy's just chatting his ear up. It was.
And then I think the prior useless scene that I think I was talking about. What was it? The
He was
shit.
when he was talking to the other guards about like explaining the plan. Like,
Oh yeah, like the leader of the mall cops was saying like, trying to give this like motivational speech that sounded worse than trying to learn y equals mx plus b.
and the
Okay.
and the guy below him gave a better speech 30 seconds before that.
Yeah, the cool Irish guy.
Yeah.
Or Scottish. I don't know. Oh, yo, lady, or some shit. I don't know.
It was, and
was-
then there's this weird in the first episode. There's just this terrible, weird, cliche love interest thing that they try and put in between Andor and this girl who Bix, I guess is her Bix. Is that it?
I listen. I'll be honest. I don't remember her name.
I think it's Bix. I think it's Bix. Bix.
I mean,
Solid
kudos
name, I
to you
guess.
for remembering her name.
Dude, I was about to say that girl and then it came to me like, but
I mean,
dude,
she's attractive.
yeah, but that's about it for her character. That's all. Like that's
all.
it.
And she apparently like will do anything for Cassian, even though
Yeah.
she's sleeping with the guy that ultimately betrays Cassian.
Right, and that we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But anyway, there's this weird like, I don't even want to call it like sexual tension because it's not. It's bad love.
It's bad writing.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
bad
just
writing.
not good.
I mean,
and then we get introduced to the villain.
Yeah, the mall cops.
And the mall cops and the head mall cop just leaves on some like fucking vacation or something.
The head mall cop goes, I don't give a shit about this. Just sweep it under the rug. And then the
new
guy,
head mall cop.
the new head mall cop goes, well, I want this investigated, and then literally like
Paul Blart fucking.
forces like his underlings to search for this man who, quite frankly, just I don't know.
Self-defense, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like if you watch the first 10 minutes of episode 1, if you made it that far before you fell asleep, you get him. That was probably the most action I think in the first 3 movies, the first 3 episodes settled
until episode 3, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and then you get the brothel, which I guess they tried. It was a piss poor attempt to try to keep something interesting. He's obviously looking for his sister. I'm assuming it would have to be his sister from his home world or something. But we know based off episode 3 that he gets taken by himself. So it would have to be somebody that he meets when they crash land on this home planet they're on that I don't know the name of.
Well, no, because he did have a sister. But the thing I don't understand about that plot point is
because they was it Martha was her name or
Marva. Marva, I think.
Marva and this gentleman, I'm assuming would be
I think that was his dad.
Be his dad.
Yeah.
Which, they rescued him from this chemical imperial transport ship or something. It crash lands. He goes in there because his weird kid love interest gets
killed,
lasered,
shot in the
back because there's 20 kids looking at this one imperial guard that fucks her up.
Slowly standing up after being like chemically maced.
Raises his gun, and then the kids just stand there and go, "Huh, we should probably blow dart this guy, but we're not."
And then they blow dart him like 60 times, and he's still standing up.
And then she dies, so she's no longer important, or she is important.
So now he wants revenge, and he goes into
the ship and starts randomly breaking things. I don't.
He sees his reflection, and then he just starts breaking shit. Like
maybe that was his original hate for the Empire, or
but that wasn't even the Empire. That was the Republic, I think.
I mean, he's probably at this point.
It was just like because
what? So the modern scene is set 5 BBY.
Yeah.
So how old is Andor? I
think he's like 20-something when he dies, but I'm
just trying to figure out like what
that whole arc is just so weird. Like, and like you said, his sister. Like, so think about it, right? He's looking for his sister in episode 1, or so that's what he says. But by episode 2 and episode 3, that plot point is completely abandoned.
Okay, so Cassian Andor is 26 years old at the time of his death.
All right, so
he's 21. He's
now.
21 now. And then
so
he's probably around at least 10 or 12 at this point.
Probably about.
So the Empire has been formed at this point, because there's not 20 years.
Well, no, because they said Republic.
They did say Republic transport, unless there's a continuity error.
Unless they fucked that up, they might have fucked that up.
They could have fucked it up.
Unless he's like 8 there, like he could be like 6, 7, 8.
No,
I guess.
That actor who's playing young Cassian is
like
at least
12.
like 15.
Yeah, probably.
Like he has hair on the pubes.
Probably
100%. But I mean,
just,
like,
I don't know,
I'm not sure what age they're trying to portray young Cassian there. But there seems like a continuity error. Like this wasn't really well thought out. I don't know. I have a lot of issues with this series.
And that's why when they announced who was directing it, and when I read the interview that he said, "Oh yeah, like I don't really like Star Wars. I never watched Star Wars. I never liked it." That right there to me was a red flag, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt coming into the series. But now that I'm watching it, he no longer has that, and he's got to step his game up.
Like, it's 100% a red flag, but, like, they also have, like, people on that team that worked on Rogue One. I mean, I'm watching Rogue One right now, and it looks...
Masterpiece.
It's visually appealing. I mean, there's good plot. There's action right off the rip. Something to pull you in. The 5-minute brothel scene just was not enough to keep me interested,
and even that wasn't... Even action, they were just talking, and it was alluded at that he could go like hook up with this girl. It was like
there was more nudity when Nyx was putting her pants on after her weird sex scene with Tim.
We see her side thigh, like.
And by sex scene, I mean they hooked up. She sat on the bed, and then they cut to the next morning. I mean,
no, she sat in the bed. He was in another room, and then they cut, and then they came back. She was laying there alone. He was just staring at her in the corner, like.
Yeah, kind of gave me creeper vibes.
Dude, it was bad.
Creeper Tim, you know.
But so we've already kind of started delving to episode 2 and 3, but episode 2 starts out. We get Stellan Skarsgård's character, which we still don't know his name. He's finally introduced. But like you said,
yeah, we just
the
get,
weird taxi scene.
He's just introduced as like this guy, this contact.
Yeah, he's this contact that I guess buys
yeah,
shit.
that Dix goes into this tower, puts a couple codes in, and signals this guy to come this guy to come purchase what Cassian Andor has, which is like some
device thing.
I don't remember the name of the device, but it's something to do with hyperdrives and for Imperial Star Destroyers or something along those lines.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember the name, and again, we are usually on fucking point with that shit.
Well, I mean, what's more ludicrous is I'm going to jump to episode 3 here, Jay, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Is what's more ludicrous is the story of how he gets this part. He says he slicks his hair back, puts on an Imperial uniform, marches into the base, and just takes the part.
Right. Like, it's...
There's no way that the Empire is that arrogant. If you watch...
especially if it's this important of a part, like...
Yeah, remember watching Obi-Wan? When they were checking the credentials when they were at the Inquisitor's palace?
Inquisitor.
I mean, they were very thorough on, like, checking the credentials.
Yeah.
So I highly doubt some random Joe Schmo who lives in the fucking desert
just walks in
with an Imperial uniform and goes, I'm going to take this 40,000 credit part and just walk out the door.
Yeah, it's so odd.
There's plot holes. There's bad writing.
It's just I don't even know if it's a plot hole. I think it's just a bad plot in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they had a couple extra shots of tequila when they were writing the script.
Dude.
Something. This is brutal.
Maybe they didn't drink enough tequila. That's why it's shit.
This is brutal, Jay.
Dude, and then, like you said, we've already gone over the useless scenes and the prelude sex scene and the device and the chemical weapon. We already went over the girl who got killed. The old woman, we already went over her. She's Marva. It's his mom. But by this point, our last bullet point for episode 2 was we are loving this droid B.
Oh, yeah, dude. B's
absolute highlight of the series, and that's rough to say because he has less than 3 minutes of screen time.
Like, here's the thing. I think with B reminds you of what R2-D2 would be if he could talk.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most accurate because he's spunky. You know, he says some kind of off-the-wall shit. You know, he's not a little bitch.
He's kind of, to me, like what Chopper is like. And Chopper's a little more vocal than R2 is. Chopper from Rebels.
Yeah.
He's a little more vocal, and we're going to see him in Ahsoka series. He's been confirmed. He actually shows up in Rogue One a couple times, too. So that's cool. But just at this point, you know, like we said, we're just not really loving the series, and for us to say that the highlight of the series is a droid who gets less than 3 minutes of screen time across 3 40-minute episodes, it should be very telling of how the series is going for us so far. It's hard.
Listen, I will sacrifice my free time so you, our listeners, don't have to. I will tell you about Andor. If anything spicy comes up, I'll tell you to watch that episode.
Trust me. Yeah, listen. If there's anything good, you guys can listen here, and we'll tell you right off the rip if it's good or not, if we enjoyed the episode. But
there's just some very glaring issues with this series.
With the writing, the characters, everything. And I think what really annoyed me is that I think a lot of people by the end of Rogue One loved Andor as a character. And I feel like this series is going to really fuck his character up bad. And it sucks because I love that actor too. He's a great. He plays a great role. It's just, it's going to be similar to how Hayden was, kind of portrayed in episode 2. Like, he's a great actor, and you see that in episode 3, but the writing was just terrible in episode 2.
Well, like
the line sucked.
Here's the thing, right? With Hayden Christensen playing Anakin in episode 2 and episode 3, I think that as time went on, we started to love.
He aged like fine wine, dude.
We love that character. We love episode 2. We love episode 3, and unfortunately, unless Andor really turns it up a notch, like 55 notches
in the next 9 episodes.
In the next 9 episodes, we're gonna have a huge problem, and I think this might go down as probably one of the worst received or hated Star Wars series or Star Wars just content. I mean, I think if you guys read Twitter or just check the Reddits, like you'll see like everyone's just kind of like down on this right now, and I don't see it turning around anytime soon. There's just, I think episode 4 is gonna be stale. Episode 5 is probably gonna be stale.
Episode 4 needs to come out hot. If it doesn't come out hot, they're gonna lose every bit of interest that anybody ever had in the show.
Like 3 episodes only spanned a day, or I'm sorry, 2 days.
In the timeline.
In the timeline.
And
3 episodes, 2 days for.
And it was like, ugh.
For mall cops coming out and, you know, getting their cheeks clapped, because they
By
did get
2
their
dudes.
cheeks clapped by 2 dudes, and some well placed explosives.
Dude, it was just like, man, like it was just like my first bullet point for episode 3 was Marva is the mom, like, and then Marva's the one who rescues Andor, which we already talked about. The ship that they board that Marva, I guess, has, and they rescue Andor from, is the ship that crashes on Ferris, I guess is the planet. I don't even know if that's
whatever
the name
planet,
of the planet.
whatever planet that they're on, it crashes.
There.
And Andor uses it kind of as a home base while he's on this desert planet.
Kind of to hide his this data bank thing.
Yeah, hides his data bank, hides like his legal activities, stuff like that.
But this one, it's still a very slow episode, but we do get a couple action scenes that feel like they're maybe going to ramp up a little bit, and then like by the end of the episode, the action's gone, and we're kind of just, again, left like, ugh.
Yeah, it's like you get some like really strange, like right here, right? I'm watching Rogue One, okay? They're at the scene where they're in the middle of the square. The Saw Gerrera's terrorists jump these stormtroopers, okay, without any warning. Now, I want to compare that to episode 3 right now of Andor, when the town's getting rowdy and they're banging on these pipes and they're banging on these random things, right? So you're expecting, you know, Marva's giving a story to these mall cops,
right?
Going,
building the anticipation.
like, you'll never guess what's gonna happen when it stops.
And then it stops.
And the story stops there, but the music stops shortly after. The banging of the pans and the whatever, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Andor and Skarsgård's character kind of just defeat the mall cops by themselves with no help from the town. What I was expecting was a scene like this where the rebels, the towns come out of nowhere and start fighting these mall cops, and they come together for Cassian, but we just don't get that. And it's just kind of a letdown.
Maybe
honestly.
It doesn't serve his character to like get help like that, but at least it would serve the story of the character of Marva, because like without that payoff to her story, it leaves her story kind of being boring. It leaves that build up to kind of fall apart and be anticlimactic, which you don't ever want. And it was, again, it had better action, but even the action was like slow, drawn out, overthought. And probably our favorite part of that episode was Tim, the other part of this love triangle.
Yeah, so
dies being a fucking idiot.
Yeah, so little background on Tim, if you guys weren't paying attention. He alerts the mall cops that Cassian Andor is the person who killed.
Getting drunk because he saw
2 mall cops, because he believed that his girl Dix was sleeping around with Cassian, when in reality they just have either a good friendship or maybe a former love interest, something along those lines. But you know, Tim believes something's going on between Cassian and Dix. And Bix. I really do hope that's her name, by the way.
Bix with a B.
Bix. I'm sorry, not Dix. I'm sorry.
I was kind of letting you just get away with it because I think it's funny, but because the one time you said Nix and then you're like Dix, I'm like,
I don't know her fucking name.
He's gonna run the fucking alphabet.
Sorry.
Pix and.
But so he believes that there's this love between them two, and even though she shows him nothing but love, you know, he still reports Cassian to the authorities.
Yeah.
And then, so he walks in on episode 3 on the mall cops smacking around Bix. I had to think of her name again.
Yeah.
Smacking around Bix, bloodies her head up. He kind of goes, oh, why, you know, she's covered in blood. The guy tells him to stay back. And then he just randomly just charges at them.
Bum rushes
with
them,
no weapons whatsoever.
And he's running down, like, you guys have run downstairs before, right? Like, it's not an easy task to run downstairs. And he just fucking just starts sprinting down the stairs, bum rushing them.
And then gets lasered once in the chest by the trigger happy idiot,
And then he's on the ground
and then
dead,
he's dead.
just like that.
And then like
That was my favorite part of the episode because this is what the show feels like. That's what he deserved.
yeah, like you would think after 3 episodes you'd have a connection to this character, and I just kind of laughed and I was like, that was such a waste of time.
And
Like,
not
an
only,
absolute waste of time.
I don't even care if I have a connection to the character, but like we're supposed to feel something when a character is just like a character who has a name, who is being shown, who has played a part, and there's no character development. Like he starts out as like suspicious of Bix and Andor having a relationship. That continues, which is fair. It's understandable for anybody who's ever had a relationship knows that feeling. And but then you move, and the next episode he sees Andor touch her hand and say thank you, and then like he gets drunk. He's drunk and he calls the mall cops. They come the next episode, and then I don't even understand. Like, dude, she was fine. Like yeah, she was bloodied up and beat the hell, but she was fine. She was still alive. She was still right there. Like, it's not like they killed her. Like it just seemed useless. But you know what? There are so many parts of this episodes that seemed useless. That scene is one of the ones that stands out. And it's just like meh.
It was just there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of issues.
So
and another death that was like kind of they expected us to feel emotional about, or like to get an arousal out of, and I just didn't feel anything. Was when young Cassian's love interest, the leader of their little tribe, gets clapped by the Republic chemical trooper or whatever the hell that was.
He just shoots her in the back, and like
they try to make you feel emotional about it, like like oh all the kids rush to her aid, and she eyes are open, she's dead, and then he gets emotional and he starts bashing up the ship, and you're expected to feel some type of way, and I'm just kind of like, this is stupid. Like there's nothing that makes me connect to this character at all.
There's no emotional connection to this. Like I don't know if it's just because like these are new characters, we've never seen them, but like.
But
like
here's
Mando
the thing:
had new characters.
You would think after 3 episodes, though, you would build a connection.
Right?
You would build. You'd be like, okay, like I'm invested in this character.
Yeah.
I'm not even invested in Cassian.
Yeah, honestly, I going into this series, I did not like Cassian Andor. Even after Rogue One, I didn't like the character. I thought he was just like meh. I thought he was just another character, like whatever. Loved Jen. I loved the hell is his name? The Asian dude from Rogue One, the one with the staff. I love him. I love the big guy. I love everybody else in Rogue One except for Andor. He just feels like he's blah. And this series appears to be continuing that trend of him being blah. And I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's just like I said. There's just a lot of issues that I have with Andor right now, and that's just me being nice.
If you guys have ever listened to this podcast, you know that we can go on for hours and hours about Star Wars, and we're literally at the end of our notes.
Yeah,
in 30 minutes.
It's
less than 30 minutes.
There's not much here, guys. I mean, watch it yourself. Give maybe in the comments below after you watch these 3 episodes, give us your opinions. Maybe if you already watched them already and you're listening to this podcast, give us your comments. Tell us why we're wrong. But listen, me and Jay have been doing this a long time. We've been following Star Wars a long time, and this is just bad Star Wars.
Yeah, I've watched every piece of Star Wars content, and I'm talking everything from the holiday special to the original 1980s droid series to like everything, guys. The 2003 Clone Wars, 2008 Clone Wars, Rebels, Mando. And I've watched everything. And this series is just
I'm personally afraid they're gonna like neuter Saul Guerrero. Because we know he's in this.
Dude.
Like if they fuck that character up, you might as well just scrap the whole series.
Yeah, you fucked something up big because he's been portrayed in 4 different things so far.
They have a great actor playing him in the live action films. We're watching him right now in Rogue One, and he's only got maybe like 10 minutes of screen time, but that 10 minutes, like,
So
he
impactful.
commands the screen. He's very impactful. You know, you're interested in this character because he gives off different vibes, and you know that kind of like, this is what the Empire did to me.
Right.
So,
I'm a rebel. Like
yeah,
he gives off that like I'm a rebel kind of feel.
You know, Saul Guerrero is what they want Cassian to be, and right now we're just not getting it.
Yeah, it's and like I said, we've had 3 different Saw Gerreras. One in Clone Wars, actually technically two different ones in Clone Wars. We saw a young Saw and then an older Saw, and then we see him in Rebels, and we see him in live action in Rogue One, and all 4 adaptations have been impeccable, like to a T, perfect. And if they fuck him up in Andor, it's gonna really hurt and put a stain on his character for every other medium.
Yeah, because you know all these are intertwined content. They're all
Yeah.
canon, so you have to stay consistent. But there's just the Cassian Andor that I'm seeing on this screen doesn't match the Cassian Andor that I'm getting in Rogue One, and in 5 years doesn't make that much of a difference of a character.
Yeah, like
So they need to figure it out.
I mean, I guess maybe you can look at that first episode when he kills the mall cops or whatever, and then you look at the first scene he has in Rogue One where he kills somebody, like, kind of just out of cold blood, just kills him, just because, you know, I got to do what's got to be done. But, like, it shouldn't get to that, right to that point. Like, episode 1, the first shot or some of the first shots you see shouldn't be the exact same as they are in Rogue One, because at that point, there's no arc in the middle. There's no character development that you can go over. He needs to start somewhere different, and then they like, I don't know if it was just me. I just did not like the way that the story bounced back and forth between like the present day 5 BBY and like it would like flash back to his childhood for like 2 minutes and then flash right back to modern without any like reason or rhyme or reason as to why it did that. There was no triggering like effect. There was one. He fell asleep, and that was like his dream, I guess. But after that, it would just like cut in some random point.
Yeah,
it was bad.
it's just very jumpy. It's unnecessarily jumpy.
And
I mean,
a lot of useless scenes when they do jump.
I mean, you didn't have to show, you know, him being raised in the village and him being, you know, Saul's an outsider in the village, you know, when the one elder kid slapped his hand away when he was going for the war paint.
Yeah.
You know, like that scene was so completely unnecessary. Just 2 episodes later he gets rescued off this remote planet and never goes back to it again.
Right.
You know,
it's like
you're trying to develop characters that are going to be irrelevant in 2 episodes. What's the point?
Not even 2 episodes. That happens in episode 2, and in episode 3, you see him leaving the planet.
She's dead, and the planet. He's off the planet.
It's like, dude, and then like you want us to have this, you know. So in episode 1, he mentions his sister, and then you see a couple times in episode 1 and 2, you know, his sister. But by episode 3, he's completely forgot about her. She has no relevance to the story. That whole entire plot point, it seemed like it was supposed to be a thing, and then it was completely abandoned.
Yeah, like they were
like,
trying to just they were showing the brothel, showing him kind of just being a badass for like a couple seconds, and then after that, you know, no word of his sister, no word of what, you know, what's next for his search for his sister. Just oh, I need money to pay back these debts and get off world because I fucked up, and that's the end of it.
Just feels like there's no, and this is the one thing that we really have to harp on, because even if you don't have a lot of action, this can drive your story, and that's character development. There is no character development with any of these characters, and there's no emotional connection that would drive the character development that's supposed to be happening.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm going to give you a good example. One of my other favorite films, not Jurassic Park, Avatar. You feel bad for Sam Worthington's character in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
You figure out he's paralyzed from the waist down.
Yep.
His brother dies, gets clapped by some random mugs, and then he gets sent out to hyperspace, to super space in the little fucking nowhere to Pandora to go be a controller of an avatar, and nobody wants him there.
Yeah.
You know, he gets mistreated for being crippled, and a whole bunch of shit. Like I said, it's. Like there's 2 handicap jokes in the first 10 minutes of the movie. Like
that's how you build an emotional connection, though.
Yeah, and you had 120 minutes to do that, and I felt nothing.
Yeah, I
Whereas,
felt no connection to any singular character at all.
yeah, where after
except for
10
the
minutes, where after 10 minutes of watching Sam Worthington push himself around in a wheelchair, I was like, damn, bro, I feel bad for this dude. I want him to come out on top.
Like, the only emotional connection I have to any character isn't even a living character. It's a fucking droid.
Yeah, when Cassian mistreats the shit out of him, he's like, just shut up. Go back home to mom.
It's like, dude, like, that's the only emotional connection I have in the entire series. In the 120 minutes that we had of content, that's all I get out of it. It's not enough. It's underwhelming. This series was supposed to be more. The trailers showed what was supposed to be this rebellion story, and so far we've gotten zero mention of the rebellion.
We've gotten mall cops beating up on poor desert people.
Pretty much. Which we get in the first 10 minutes of episode 4, so go watch that.
Yes.
It's
If you want to see sand people get abused, there's a great scene involving Hayden Christensen slicing up some Tusken Raiders.
Yeah, go find it on YouTube.
A great a couple episodes in Book of Boba Fett where some sand people get sliced up. There's a lot of slicing of the sand people. So if you want better content on slicing of sand people, there's plenty of other things you can go watch.
Yeah, dude.
But
like
Andor's not it.
Book of Boba Fett was so far the worst series we've had until this point.
Oh, absolutely not. Book of Boba Fett blows this out of the water tenfold. I mean, I was more like the first 5 minutes of Book of Boba Fett, he's cut himself out.
Yeah.
He's cutting himself out.
And, like, the thing is, like, even the bad parts of Book of Boba Fett are better than the good parts of Andor. If there's any good parts.
I was like, wait, there's good parts of Andor?
Like that's
I must have fell asleep during that part.
Even the bad parts of Book of Boba Fett where I'm like, why is this happening? Like, and, like, you're like, why is Boba so passive? Like, I would take that and watch that 10 times over before I went back and I really don't think I'm ever going to rewatch Andor. Unless these next 9 episodes completely flip the script of the show, I'm not going to ever rewatch this show.
If I rewatch Andor, it's not going to be the first 3 episodes, that's for sure.
I've rewatched Mando a lot now. Like, I've rewatched it multiple times by now, and I'm going to rewatch it again before Season 3 comes out. And I will not, I don't think, ever rewatch Andor. It's so bad. And we hate to hate on it. We are huge Star Wars fans, and we don't want to hate on it. But the truth is, we're not going to hesitate when something's bad. Like, the sequels are bad. We don't hesitate to talk about it. We talk about the bad parts of every trilogy and of every Star Wars piece. So it's not like we're biased to one or the other. We just want to talk Star Wars, the good and the bad, and we're not afraid to point out the bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's be honest. There's two movies or 2 pieces of content in Star Wars that I can't bash. That's Episode 5. The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And there's Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I can't bash anything from either of those 2 movies.
Honestly, I can't bash anything in Rogue One either.
I actually, I have to include Rogue One.
And maybe even Mando. Like, there's not many bad parts of Mando.
I mean, I think if I had to bash anything from Episode 3, it's that George Lucas cut probably some of the best dialogue of all time. Between Obi-Wan and Padme.
Dude, I was about to say that's the best dialogue we're ever gonna get. He's like I knew, but like I didn't know. Or he's like I knew, but I didn't say anything.
You know, we get Episode 2. I don't like sand, and we keep that. But Episode 3, we forget
the most emotional.
I knew Padme.
Scene.
I always knew. We just never talked about it.
Right, like,
bruh. Seriously,
we knew, but we didn't say anything because I he's my brother. I loved him. I wanted you guys to be happy. I loved you both. And it's just, and that would have
made that would. I'm not gonna lie to you. If that was included, that would have made that whole like
fight
end game, the fight.
He's like, I love
the
you,
interaction
Anakin.
Between Padme, Obi-Wan, and Anakin at the end there. That would have just been absolutely like so much more impactful.
It's like, dude, that's like a whole other episode. But
yeah, but what I'm saying is, I can bash them not including one scene. Andor, I'm bashing the fact that they included any scene.
Yeah, dude, like almost every scene I'm either cringing at or I'm going, why is this here? Or I'm asking, what relevance this has.
Yeah, does this play any relevance to what I'm seeing? And
Right,
the answer
like,
half the time is no.
even the ones that are like, even the scenes that are supposed to drive the story, they kind of just like tell us like what's happening and like why it's happening. It's like, or they don't tell us at all, and you're just kind of like, oh, okay, that's happening. And then like the next scene's like, oh, okay, something completely different in a different part of the timeline is happening. But then they tie up those ends by just they tie them up by never going back to them. And it's just like, honestly, we're 40 minutes in, and I have nothing more to say. I could end this episode right now.
I mean, all I'm going to say is that, there's things that make sense including, and there's things that don't make sense. Like, I'm going to give you a perfect example here. Again, we're watching Rogue One just to try to get some more Andor content for you guys. But, there's a scene where there was Saw Gerrera with the rebels discussing, what's going on with the Death Star. And very quietly, the Star Destroyer over top of the city
just leaves.
Disappears.
Right.
And nobody wonders why this happened.
They all kind of look at it and go, huh.
They're like, the Imperials are leaving. Ooh, let's celebrate. Next thing you know, there's a lunar eclipse.
Boom.
And then the city gets annihilated.
And Saw's dead.
And what's crazy is that the amount of destruction caused by the Death Star with only 5% power, the fact that it's able to crater, I don't know, maybe about a quarter of the planet.
That's fucking awesome.
It's just the visuals are absolutely incredible in this movie.
Dude, the action is just so perfect in this movie.
The Death Star is upside down.
I always wondered that. I always wondered, but I never questioned it because I don't care. It doesn't serve a relevance as to why it's upside down, and I don't care. And I think whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's kind of like what we're getting at. Like, there's like movies like this, and there's like episodes that you're just kind of like, okay, this played an important part. And then again, kind of like, I'm gonna beat a dead horse here, but like, there's nothing in Andor that I needed to see.
Yeah, I came out of Andor, and that's it. Like, I came out of Andor. That's about it. I've watched it. It's a waste of my 3 hours.
Like they tried to,
I don't know.
They try to push this on us, at least based off the trailers from what I've seen from the trailers, and they're saying like this is gonna be a show about the rebellion. I wouldn't get that vibe based off the first 3 episodes.
And I read a review. Like I've said it in every episode we've talked about Andor so far. I have said that I read a review of the first 3 episodes. Or I saw a video about somebody who read a report, and they said that in that report, people basically said the first 3 episodes, they serve as their own arc for the show, and I, and being a huge Star Wars fan, saw no arc in those first 3 episodes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. Okay, I mean, in the long run, Cassian Andor plays a huge role in the rebellion by getting the Death Star plans to Leia Organa. But he's dead. He's dead. I just don't need to.
To me,
I don't need to see more.
To me, their best bet, like, that's the most important thing he's ever going to do as a character.
And it's already been shown on screen. It's already been shown.
And it was done perfectly. It was done perfectly in Rogue One. It was executed immaculately.
Yeah, it's why Rogue One's regarded as one of the best films that Disney's produced since they took over Lucasfilm.
Film.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a question. It's the best content they've released. Followed closely by Mando, and then a huge gap, and then Book of Boba Fett, and then another enormous gap, and then Andor.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then The Last Jedi.
I'm sorry. I would put all the sequel films before Andor. And
yeah.
If you've seen or heard our episode about the sequel trilogy, then you know that I have no love for those movies.
We have no love, and that I would put that miles ahead of this because
significantly. I don't have words.
Because even when they didn't, even though I hated the storytelling, there was at least a story being told, and there was at least character development. Even if I didn't like the character development, there was character development.
Absolutely.
Like, even though I didn't like Rey's character development or how they handled her character and her lineage, it still happened. This show, it doesn't even happen. There is no character development. It's not. That's all I'm going to say. That's it.
Yeah, I just didn't need a detailed background story of Cassian Andor. I saw the most important thing he's ever going to do in his fictional life,
Yep.
and we could have left it at that.
Yeah. Like, I just don't understand what they're hoping to tell because
Like
his most important thing is done.
Unless like they're just putting a name out there to show the beginning of the rebellion, which, let's be honest, Rebels and Clone Wars did a better job of showing the rebellion.
And like, if you're gonna do that, there's already a plethora of characters in comic books, in video games, in
Now you're expanding Cassian Andor's
extended
arc.
universe legends.
You're
like,
creating characters like Dix and Tim and whoever the Skarsgård's character, and that's all I can remember from any of those episodes.
It's like, I don't understand why Disney decided to pour money into this when there is better things they could have put their money into.
Yeah, I mean you're paying $3 million an episode, for this series, when I'd much rather just get the Darth Vader comics put to live action.
Exactly. I would rather get Darth Vader comics. I would rather see. I would have instead rather have seen Cal Kestis' story expanded from Fallen Order.
That would be pretty cool.
Because you already have literally you already have an actor who's a great actor, who was used to model the character in the game, so they look identical. So why not use it?
And you could have even done
Quinlan Voss.
You could have given me, again, I reference this every episode, but the Battle of Jakku. You could have given me the Rise of the First Order. You could have given me any of those things.
Right, and if you want to fill that gap in between the Empire and the Republic, that 20-year gap before A New Hope, do Quinlan Voss. You can do Starkiller. Dude, the amount of fucking content that has come out between Legends and Extended Universe and comics and video games and
Disney at any
everything.
point can choose to essentially recon all of that content,
right? And they can
canonize
it,
or choose what they want to bring back. But they're gonna sit here and give us Cassian Andor.
Like, I would have rather have seen a K2SO story.
Ouch.
And I don't even like the character. Like, dude, it's just so fucking annoying. Like, I really had high hopes. Not high hopes, because I didn't want to get my hopes too high. I had low.
Tell me more about whoever Palpatine convinced to have sex with him to have a child.
For real.
I would be more interested in that.
I had low hopes going into the series, and I still came out disappointed. So
I'll take a big shit all over Cassian Andor and whatever this series is right now.
It's yeah, guys, I think that's all we have for today.
I can't. Yeah, I physically can't talk about this anymore because there's nothing to talk about.
We're just gonna ramble on about the same shit if we keep going, and I think we've already done.
I think we've done that for the last 15 minutes.
So
if you don't believe us, after us rambling on about talking about how much we hate this,
go ahead, watch it yourself. Be disappointed.
Yeah,
yourself.
Go ahead and go watch. Waste 3 hours of your life.
But anyway, guys, if you listen to this, thank you for listening and supporting us. We may not always love having to watch this stuff, but we'll always produce the content for you guys. If you guys want to see anything else, go ahead and leave it in the polls or the questions below. And I guess we'll be back next week to talk about episode 4, and we'll see how that goes.
Maybe if there's enough content to discuss for episode 4,
we'll
be here.
If we watch it and there's nothing, I cannot guarantee that that's what we're going to be coming out with.
Yeah, we might just, we might have to combine that and something else in an episode.
We might have to just pull an audible and just not talk about Andor at all anymore. Like, we'll still watch it, but at least I'll still watch it. I don't know if you will. I'll still watch it, but
listen, I got to give the people what they want, so I will be watching Andor. Maybe against my will, but I'll be watching it. Just to see if maybe they give me what I want.
Maybe it turns around.
Maybe they give me what I want, which is essentially a rise of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Get away from Andor and show me the rebellion.
Yeah.
But until then, Jay.
I think, dude, honestly, this is like, I don't even want to say this is our worst episode, but I think we've just had the least amount of content to work with this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I could deep dive on costumes and personality. Oh wait, there's no
Oh
personality.
yeah, there's none.
Wow.
But anyway, thank you guys for listening. If you guys haven't, go ahead and follow us on Twitter. That's where we release all of our new episodes. You're going to be able to see the link right there. You can also support us in the A&E shop. It should be on our Twitter page. And yeah, man. I mean, thank you to our sponsor, or not our sponsor. I'm sorry. Thank you to our production company, Colormatic Studios, for once again helping us produce another episode. And that's all I got to say for today, guys. If you enjoyed it, if you could enjoy it, I guess, go ahead and drop a like. And we can't wait to see you guys again here next week, tuning back in. Any final words?
I pray to God that episode 4 gives me something to talk to you guys about.
So do I. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a great day, night, morning, wherever you're at. And we will see you guys next week. Peace out.